Well, a new report from Ontario's chief coroner is linking an additional 220 deaths to residential schools in the province. These were previously undocumented and raised the number of victims in Ontario to 656. The work to trace these victims is being done by the province's residential schools death investigation team. Brett Forster from CBC Indigenous is tracking those developments in this story, joins us now from Ottawa. Brett, good to see you. So such an important investigation here indeed, but what more can you tell us about the work that's being done? And of course now more burials have been found.
Yeah, well, just to be clear, these aren't exactly burials. These are additional deaths that have been confirmed primarily through a forensic approach to documentary research. So let's just put that number in context first. These additional deaths raise the number of known deaths in Ontario by 50% exactly. So 220 added to the 436 that are known to the National Centre for Truth and Reconciliation. That is a considerable increase. And after the finding of about 200 potential unmarked burials at the former Kamloops Indian Residential School in BC, the Office of Ontario's chief coroner began mulling its options to see how they could help with some of the investigations that were being opened in Ontario. After that, his office then assembled this team, the Residential Schools Death Investigation Team, which confirmed the details primarily, as I said, through line-by-line analysis of both public and protected records, complemented by research through public archives like genealogical databases, graves websites, and so it's a more forensic approach to the available and sometimes unavailable documents. Now, the Coroners Act prohibits them from making findings of responsibility or criminal accountability. That's an important detail. It's a limit on this investigation, but it does give them some flexibility to work with the communities and provide them some answers. Mark Mackissack is the leader of the death investigation team. He is also a sergeant with the Ontario Provincial Police. Here's how he described the goals of the investigation.
In terms of the end result, we're bringing answers to families that never had them. You know, there's no question, whatever term is used, they're definitely missing from, you know, the hearts and minds of their families. The vast majority don't know anything or very much about what happened to these children.
Now, as I said, they're not able to make findings of criminal liability, but as a police officer, Mackissack says he often encountered findings or scenarios in the documents that could meet the bar for criminal negligence, causing bodily harm or death under today's legal standards, though that offense didn't exist back then. However, he said the first and foremost overwhelming cause of death they encountered was infectious disease. But when it comes to bringing more answers to families, he says that's going to take some more time, and so the investigation will continue.
And rightly so, as we know that, Brett, as we've been following all of this with the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, the National Centre for Truth and Reconciliation, talking to families still needing that closure, still wanting to know about their loved ones. So, of course, the question comes, how did these deaths get missed?
Well, that is an important question, and I think the obvious answer is that the Truth and Reconciliation Commission was never mandated and resourced to identify comprehensively every single death that occurred at residential schools throughout the country. Pardon me. They tried. They did what they could with the time, money, and staff that they had, but they knew when they finished their report in 2015 that they weren't going to find all of them. They did document about 3,000. The TRC's successor is the National Centre for Truth and Reconciliation. They've brought the number to about 4,100. And the Ontario's Chief Coroner, Dr. Dirk Heyer, is aware of this fact. He explained that his office can bring unique powers, expertise, and other things to bear to try to find out whether deaths were missed. So here's how he explained the work.
This is the kind of work that I understood one of the calls for action was to do more work, to answer more questions and see if there was more children. So I think we're doing, what we're doing is completely consistent with the work that was started by the Truth and Reconciliation, and we're carrying that forward in a way that provides more answers.
Now, these findings aren't that surprising to people who are engaged in this work on the ground. I spoke with Laura Arndt, who is the executive lead at the Survivors Secretariat, a nonprofit organization representing survivors of the Mohawk Institute Residential School, which is located in Brantford, Ontario. They're doing this work as well, and they were able to more than double the number of known deaths at the Institute from 48 that were documented by the NCTR to 101 today. Now, for its part, the NCTR says it supports and endorses the coroner's work. They believe it will take decades before the full number of deaths at residential schools is known, and they say they will continue to update their online memorial as names are provided by survivors, their families, and their communities. Angie.
Critical and important work indeed. Brett, thank you so much for this. Brett Forster for us in Ottawa. Now, Brett's story available online as well this morning. You can find it on our website and on the CBC News app. This is CBC Morning Live.